Cerebellum. 50% of the brain's neurons, 10% of its space. This tightly packed structure is little known, but wonderful. The cerebellum is tucked away at the back of your skull, just above the brainstem. In fact, if you knock on the back of your head, you're knocking right on your cerebellum. And this astounding amalgamation of brain cells helps your body with pretty much everything, but few people understand its power. Have you ever seen a police sobriety test? You know, the ones where they make someone walk down a line, one foot in front of the other. Well, that's basically a test for cerebellar function. See, the cerebellum helps coordinate motion. It makes sure that every body part moves in an organized and structured way. If I want to scratch my head, for example, my motor cortex, here in the frontal lobe, takes care of the commands, but my cerebellum puts them all together. It helps me coordinate the lifting of my arm, the bending of my fingers, and the tilts of my head. The cerebellum ensures that all these motions happen in the correct order and that I don't scratch the air or slap myself in the face. But that's not all the cerebellum does. To learn more about it, we need to meet someone special. This is Jonathan Kelleher, a Bostonian who was born and lives without a cerebellum. And he lives a pretty normal life. Jonathan has a job, walks to work, and can ride the Boston subway like anyone else. But because of this black space in an x-ray of his brain, Jonathan lacks the coordination to drive or ride a bicycle, and his speech is unique but functional. Other than some clumsiness and a more staccato method of movement, Jonathan looks and acts just like any other person. At least from the outside. You see, inside his brain, things are completely different. Because Jonathan doesn't have a large part of his brain, other areas of the brain have to step in and fill the gap. And they do a pretty good job of it. See, if you lost your cerebellum right now, that wouldn't be good. You'd lose your ability to speak, walk, write, eat, and more. All your complex motions would be gone in an instant. But Jonathan's brain has adapted to the lack of a cerebellum. As his brain developed in the womb and throughout childhood, it learned to work without that portion. Different brain areas have stepped in to take over the cerebellum's job. And even though Jonathan's brain has had almost 40 years to adapt to his missing bit of it, it's still not perfect. Farming these tasks out to other areas of the brain is like making Tom Brady play wide receiver. Sure, he understands the game and knows what to do, and sometimes it even goes pretty well. But he'll never be as good a receiver as he is a quarterback, no matter how much he practices. He's just not cut out for it. That's kind of like the brain of someone with cerebellar agenesis. It will never be able to perfectly handle all the tasks that a properly installed cerebellum can. Research into people with cerebellar agenesis has also revealed something startling. The cerebellum isn't just good at coordinating motion, it also helps coordinate and deepen emotions, build strong relationships, and control actions in social situations. We're learning more about the cerebellum every day by studying people whose neurons are agenetic or damaged in some way. This kind of research offers incredible wealth of information into how our brains function. Thanks to Jonathan's generosity in giving his time to scientists, we've learned more about the cerebellum than anyone could have imagined, and he'll make an impression on our science for decades to come. So, the cerebellum. It's a part of the brain you could live without, if you were born without it. But if yours disappeared today, you'd be in trouble. Keep exploring.